Hi, welcome. This is Renée Safrata, CEO of Vivo Team, and I want to welcome all of you to the GSDC Capsule Learning Module. This one is on data-driven and inclusive leadership learning, something that I am super passionate about with my company, Vivo Team, an organization that we have headquartered in Canada, across all areas of Canada, but we work mainly with North American clients with a global footprint of over 19 countries. The reason why is that we have discovered a way to put into the hands of leaders the analytics and the insights that they need to become great leaders, fantastic leaders. In addition, what we have figured out how to do is to deliver to C-suite executives the analytics that they need about their talent, making sure that they understand who is top talent in the organization, and as well, how is learning and development in leadership progressing over a period of continuous learning and development. One of the things we recognize right now with organizations is the talent crunch is upon us. And this creates a great risk for employee lifetime value, meaning that employees are leaving organizations and there is a flat employee pool out there in the world. So what organizations are tasked to do is really to develop a dynamic workforce by creating continuous learning and development for their leaders and making sure that they have evidence-based performance improvement across their teams. So let's dig into a little bit about what this looks like so you understand a little bit more about what we have done here. So again, transforming great leaders into great ones and using data to make sure that we really have an opportunity to understand in small snapshots across a timeline how things are going. So this is our methodology. Call it our secret sauce. It's an integrated learning methodology, very different than many that you see out there. And it includes people analytics first, getting baseline analytics within the system of the team. What that means is it's not self-directed questions that are asked in a survey, but rather there are statements that are quantified by both the leader and all of the team members. All of this, the team members are asked on a regular basis, quantify the behaviors that you see happening within your team and how you're collaborating together. So it keeps it very anonymous and it keeps it all about team performance. We're all about behavioral performance in organizations. I want to say one other thing about that is when we diagnose and create the analytics, we are testing against 64 behaviors. The reason for behaviors is that we recognize that leaders have great difficulty understanding how to work with their team members when they are given profile analysis or engagement scores. They don't really know how to manage the team properly. But with behaviors, it's very easy to understand the behaviors that are happening and how to give feedback specific to behaviors. And that's what we teach when we do our live online training and coaching in cohorts where now individuals have understood what the analytics is, they understand where their team or their leadership, operational and inspirational behaviors are either strong or weak. And now they can go to a cohort training, learn a new model for behavior, have some great adult engaging conversations instead of a facilitated sort of PowerPoint session where a facilitator is just droning on about the content. I call it death by PowerPoint. But it's an adult engaging conversation with the leaders in the organization about their scenarios that they're dealing with at work and how those behavioral models apply so that they can gain awareness and they can change their behavior and then turn around and see how that change in behavior changes the evidence-based performance impact of all of the team members that they're working with. That's where we get team effectiveness. That's where we start to really drive employee lifetime value and C-suite executives understand what's going on. So we start with baseline analytics to diagnose and analyze. We then train and coach. So not only with the online training in cohorts, we interleave that with 1 to 2 coaching formats. So again, imagine I as a leader get my baseline analytics. I understand operationally and inspirationally where my leadership is strong or weak. I go to a cohort session. I learn a bunch of new stuff with other leaders in my organization, sharing experience, social learning, driven by a very competent facilitator. And then I get to fill out a template and go to a coaching session and talk about what's happening for me. That's where true application happens in the workplace. We're not measuring participation. I just showed up to the training session. We're actually measuring how are things being applied, how is behavior being changed. All the while, we are tracking what is being learned, what is being applied. We are measuring behavioral changes that affect performance in the workplace, and we're evaluating the results over time for continuous improvement. We do that with our learning experience platform. And the thing that's also a little bit different about how we do leadership development is we're big believers that everybody in the team needs to learn together. So while we may have a primary learner called the leader, we also make sure that the learning experience platform is driving learnings to the team members about what the leader is learning. We've all been in a situation where our leader, Charlie, changes their behavior, and we're sort of like, what? How come these meetings are happening differently? So we want to give those insights to the organization. So that's our secret sauce. You can see at the top right of the screen, there is a vivoteam.com demo. The reason why I put this up there is I thought you might like to get analytics on your team's performance after the session. So feel free to go there after the session. It'll take you about 2 minutes. You'll be answering 5 to 10 statements about your team, and we will immediately give you a report. So give it a try. So let's look at what these analytics gives to just specifically a leader. So a leader here, as in baseline analytics, we see that this particular leader has a team performance of 63%. Not good. In the red, that means there's chaos in the team. We also know the cost of lost productivity for the organization. That's significant. That's a significant number. By the way, this is an aggregate I'm showing you for an executive team. We can identify against the 6 key indicators in the red areas, which are the ones of greatest challenge. That's where we know we need to tailor the learning program. And after the learning program, which might be 15 weeks of interleaved coaching and cohort training, we now retest. Well, look at how well this executive team did. They've now gone up to 70. They have a decreased cost of lost productivity, which not only represents a 510% return on investment, but they have reclaimed as a labor efficiency of being aligned to a set of behaviors over $400,000. This is a good news story and happened within just 15 weeks. We often see this happening. What I'd like to do while we still have time is I'd like to show you an actual leader's report so you can get an idea of what one specific leader might be given. And I've chosen this report specifically because I think it tells an interesting story of both the leader and the organization. So let me just share here the screen. And what I am showing you is I am showing you a report from one middle manager who has been illustrated just before COVID. There's a reason why I'm showing you this. Just before COVID in October 2019, they are joining a 2.5-year leadership program with Vivo Team. You can see that we are tracking them with our data throughout the entire time. You can also see very easily our legend. Anything that's red is an issue. Anything that's purple needs attention, and anything that's blue is a healthy team. I'm only going to show you snapshots of this just based on time, but there's lots more here to discuss. So if you want to see more, just direct message me on LinkedIn or go and do one of these demos. So in this particular situation, as I said, there's a baseline analytics done. And let's just first look at this leader's effectiveness. They quickly understand after the leader and the team have done the statements, took about 15 minutes, that there is a large gap, a 40% gap in the perception of the team versus the leader's awareness. This particular leader thinks, hey, I'm doing really well. 83%, I am leading in operational and inspirational leadership really beautifully. But the team is like, no, not so much. We got some work to do. Well, great. Now we have the analytics to share with the leader where they're strong and weak, where the perception gaps are, and we highlight for them key behaviors that they need to do differently. If we look at the 6 key indicators, this is the soft skills that we need to make sure are in alignment across the team. We also see in the first baseline where the team is struggling. So just look at the lower numbers. That's where we're going to tailor the cohort and the coaching sessions. But what's interesting is if you path this leader along the map of COVID, you can see that after just the first 15 weeks, you can see that the team immediately says, things are changing around here. And as an organization, the organization understands that this particular leader is applying their new behaviors and getting a result in team performance. Team performance leads to productivity. Productivity leads to less cost in the organization. Now let's just take a peek down here and let's see how the perception of the leaders' operational and inspirational leadership worked. Again, here we are in baseline, and now the leader has learned a bunch of new stuff. Well, guess what? The leader gap has changed from -40 to -5. The leader is more aware, probably being more discerning about their operational and inspirational behaviors. And the team is saying, you know what, there's been some improvement, and that's what we want to look for. Now, I told you this was a COVID story, and I want to share with you what that looks like for the organization. Again, data is knowledge, and data allows for inclusive leadership and evidence-based performance to be measured throughout an organization. So if you look back at the 6 key indicators, where we see at the beginning in baseline, this particular leader was having a tough time, improvements started. But then in 2020, we all know we went back to distributed team working together, and this particular company was not set up for success. So the data shows that. They decreased their effectiveness in communication, feedback, and structures. But guess what? They are still beyond where they were in the baseline. So the organization is saying, let's stay with this leader and let's just now focus on these 3 areas while we go through this crisis. So again, really important to have data and knowledge and analytics when moving through a crisis. When we look at the leader's effectiveness, we can see that 2020, okay, they were beginning to be a little bit more in alignment. And if you look down at this chart, you see exactly where. Now COVID has hit, they've gone from work from home, but the leader and the team have gotten even tighter in their alignment. And that's what's important, because what do we hear in organizations? We always hear that retention is partially, actually mostly, because of my disconnect with my leader, with my manager. So all of this to say that by giving data to leaders, to team members, and to organizations, and to following it through within a continuous learning and development methodology, all of our clients at Vivo Team are really recognizing that they are taking care of building dynamic workforces of teams and leaders who are effective. They're measuring evidence-based performance improvement instead of measuring I went to the program, or I did the self-directed learning. So think about it. How might this impact the way that you look at the insights that you're giving your leaders, your team members, and the insights that you're giving, whether it's your clients or whatever, the executive team that you're working on the proper insights. Once again, thank you so much for coming to this session today. As I mentioned, my name is Renée Safrata. I'm the CEO of Vivo Team. We're having a great time bringing innovative methodologies out there into the world to help leaders become great ones. I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn or to go to our website and to do that demo that I mentioned at the beginning. Have a great day. Talk soon, everyone.